Einstein once called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. But do you know why this seemingly ordinary grade 7 math concept captivated the mind of the most revered physicist in history? In today's video, we'll show you how to get rich with a mysterious power. But to understand its true potential, you need to listen to this story. Sam and Susie's investing journey. Sam and Susie were twins. They were raised by their single mom, Susan. Their dad, Seth, had devoted all his life to the US Army and never returned from the Vietnam War. Susan had very little money to raise the kids, so she always thought of instilling good money habits into them. She would only spend on the things the three of us needed, such as education, food, and rent, but never spent any money on a new dress for herself. Both children felt pain when they saw their mom wearing her old, worn-out clothes all the time. So, when they went off to college, they knew they didn't have the option of asking for more money from home. Both of them got part-time jobs that helped them pay off their living expenses. From his childhood, Sam never had the best toys like his friends. He knew his mom couldn't afford them, so he never asked for them. But now, when he was earning his own money, he didn't want to be left out. The first thing he bought from his saved-up money was a PlayStation, and then every time a new game came up, he had to have a copy. Susie, on the other hand, never cared for material things. She valued her financial freedom much more than a pair of new shoes. So, whatever money she saved after paying all her living expenses went straight to her investment account. This way, she started investing $2,000 each year from the age of 22. 4 years later, when both of them graduated, they got good jobs and soon started living a better life. They even brought their mom to live with them. Even so, Susie continued to save $2,000 each year. Sam increased his expenses every time he got a hike. He went partying with friends, traveled around the country, and ate at fancy restaurants. All this while his mom kept thinking that Sam needed to save more. But it was an awkward conversation to have with an adult son who's earning his own money. So, on Sam's 34th birthday, his mom wrote him a birthday letter. She explained to him that he should mend his ways. He was getting older, and in just a few years he wouldn't be able to earn enough to support himself. So, he should start saving for his retirement. She even gave him the example of his sister Susie, who had been saving $2,000 each year, and asked him to save at least the same amount, if not more. Sam loved his mom and couldn't say no to her. Reluctantly, he started saving $2,000 every year since then. In the meantime, Susie got married and had kids, so she had to leave her job to take care of the kids full-time. She stopped saving when she was 34, but never touched her invested money. Sam, on the other hand, never married because he was very busy building his career. Both Sam and Susie went on with their lives until they were 65 and met at their mom's funeral. They were grieving and remembering what their mom had taught them. While talking about their mom, Sam told Susie that the best advice their mom gave him was to save $2,000 each year. He told Susie how he had been saving that for each year since his 34th birthday. Susie agreed that their mom had taught them well, but also told Sam sadly that she had to stop investing when she left her job. However, she had let her money stay invested for all those years, and now had enough to live off. She explained to Sam that as her kids were now all grown up and busy in their lives, and her husband George had also left for a better place, she wanted to live the rest of her life with her brother, whom she dearly missed. Sam also agreed, but he was not sure whether he had enough money to do that. He asked Susie if she had enough savings. Susie said she had invested $2,000 each year for 12 years at a 10% return. Then she couldn't add more money to the account, but the corpus kept growing for 32 more years. So now she had $993,307 to retire with. Sam was left aghast. He had saved $2,000 for 32 years at the same 10%, but only had $444,503 saved up. He was not ready to believe that how could investing $64,000 had him not even half of what Susie had from investing only $24,000 just for much longer. That's when Susie explained to him the power of compounding through a story. The King's Chessboard. Once upon a time, a very prosperous king invited a famous poet to his court. He asked him to recite some of his best poetry in front of all the courtiers. If his words had the power to move the courtiers, The king would reward him with anything he would ask. The clever poet recited a poem narrating the bravery shown by the kingdom forces in the war against the neighboring kingdom. Hearing the tale of their glory, the king and the courtiers were all teared up. The king asked the poet what reward he desired. The poet said, "My dear king, please ask your servant to bring your chessboard to the court." The king, who was very proud of his gameplay, thought the poet wanted to challenge him to a match, so he ordered for it immediately. When the board was brought, the poet asked the king, "My dear king, please place a gold coin on the first square." The king did that. Then the poet asked the king, "My dear king, please place double the coins on the next square and continue doubling till the last square." The king placed 2 more coins on the second square, 4 on the third, 8 on the fourth, and so on. By the time he came to the last square, he had to place 2 to the power of 63 coins on it. That's when the poet said, "My dear king, that's my reward." If each coin was worth $1, then 2 to the power of 63 coins would be worth $9,223.37 quadrillion dollars. Not billion, not trillion, but quadrillion dollars. That's a number with 15 zeros. The king was left flabbergasted. He realized he would have to sell his entire kingdom to reward the poet, so he fell on his knees and begged him for a waiver. That's when the poet explained to the king that he just wanted to prove his brilliance to the king and would settle for a large piece of land to farm on and feed his family. The king was relieved and immediately fulfilled the poet's wishes. Finishing her story, Susie told Sam, "That's the power of compounding." Even though she started with a lower investment, she kept it invested for much longer, so the interest on interest accumulated each year, leaving her with twice what Sam had. The moral of the story is, compounding can transform your life into a rocket ship, just like it did for Susie. Basically, if you start with $2,000 today and invest it at 10%, the next year you will have $2,200. So, you will earn interest on not just the principal of $2,000, but also the interest amount of $200. So, your total interest will be $200 in year 1, but $220 in year 2. And if you continue investing $2,000 each year, you will completely unleash compounding to work in your favor, just like Susie. Instead of just investing $2,000 for 12 years, she reinvested all her returns also. So at the end of 12 years, her account had $42,768.57, which she kept invested for 32 more years to end up with $993,307. But Sam had only invested $2,000 for 32 years, so he ended up with only $444,503. Now that you know how compounding accelerates your investment's growth, here's how you can unleash the compounding magic. Let's break down the compounding magic for you into the 3 most important factors. 1. Invest for a long time. Although Sam invested more principal than Susie, he invested for a shorter period, so his total returns were lower. The longer you stay invested, the more you reinvest your returns, the more amount you accumulate. So, next time when you only have $1,000 saved up, don't delay investing it. It can make an enormous change to your final retirement savings. 2. Invest a larger amount. While Sam invested more principal in total, his annual investment was the same as Susie's. Therefore, he was unable to catch up with her. Had he invested more money each year, he could have ended up with a higher retirement corpus. But because Sam didn't realize this faster, he lost precious years of his life. You should always have a clear investment goal set up and invest the required amount toward that goal instead of spending all your money on one-time experiences and having fun. 3. Invest at a higher return. In the case of Sam and Susie, both had invested at 10%, so even though Sam invested more amount, because he had less time to invest, he should have tried investing at a higher rate of return to catch up with Susie. To check what return you need to earn to achieve your desired amount, you need to know the future value of an annuity formula. Here, FV is the amount you desire at the end of your investment horizon. P is the amount you invest per period. R is the rate of return. N is the number of years in your investment horizon. So, if you want $1 million by investing $2,000 per year for 32 years, your equation becomes, solving this equation, you need a return of approximately 14%. You can also use the FV of an annuity calculator. Several of these are available online. Simply fill in your numbers to get the same result. But the whole point is that if you start investing late, you will need a much higher return and a much higher investment amount to earn the same amount of money compared to someone who started before you. And as a higher return always comes at a higher risk, you shouldn't delay investing. Start investing as early as possible, even if you have very little amount to begin with. You can start with investing in an S&P 500 index fund, and once you have a better knowledge of the stock market, you can even start picking stocks you think will outperform.